Welcome to another episode of rawradianthealth.com, and I'm Natasha St. Michael, and thank you so much for joining me. So I'm going to talk about cravings today. I went through some pretty hardcore cravings last night, and I mean, these cravings, they were strong, very, very strong. And normally, you know, I don't go through cravings all that much. Only, you know, once in a while I get hit with it, and I don't, like, it's not like I'm prepared for it when it comes. It just hits me, and it always happens late at night. I don't have cravings during the day or in the morning, and not necessarily early evening either. It's always like, it's always late night, and it's always like almost like 11 o'clock, midnight, and suddenly I start thinking about food. And I start thinking about food I don't even eat, and food that's like every type of food out there I'm thinking about. And normally I have, you know, in case this comes up, I always have my like little stash of like tahini and honey. And I didn't even have that because that's for me my little savior. And we all have to have something that's our savior. For me, it's like I'd rather have the tahini and honey than be like running out and going to get ice cream or something. So, but of course I didn't even have that last night. And I always find what's interesting is that when I have cravings, I think about food, all the foods I don't have. And it's always late night, and you know, there's always like, you know, this part of me that's like, should I go to the grocery store, you know, and then I'm thinking to myself, no, it's midnight, what are you doing? But the cravings are so strong, and for some people they can give into it, and other people, they're able to stand up to it. And for myself, I'd say sometimes I do give in and sometimes I do stand up to it. But what I found to be interesting last night was that I had such strong cravings, and you know, it's like, it's for anyone that goes through this, it's like you can't even think about anything else but that food and eating that food and how that food's gonna make you feel. And then, you know, so I'm like immersed in this, and then I, like, something just occurred to me, like the simplest thing. I'm just kind of like, but am I even hungry? And then I realized, no, like, it's actually quite full from dinner, and I was just kind of like, you know, I'm craving something, and I think it's food, but it's, and then it just hit me. It's kind of like, a lot of times we think we're craving food, but in fact we're craving something else, and that other thing could be love, it could be comfort, it could be relaxation, it could be less pressure, it could be less stress, it could be just, you know, just feeling a different way than you're feeling at that moment. And that's when it just really hit me, that it's like, you know, there I am, like, full, and all I'm thinking about is food, and I'm full. What am I, you know, it's like, it doesn't make sense. And then it just hit me. I'm just like, you know, I'm craving something, and I think it's food, but in fact, it's something else. And more often, it's usually something, you know, something emotional that is not being met. You know, it's like your needs in one way or another are not being taken care of, and for some reason it sort of gets like sort of transformed into a craving for food, but in fact it's something else. And so the moment that I realized that, I was just like, yeah, oh, I'm not hungry. It's not the food that I need. You know, I need to be dealing with this other thing. And it was just suddenly, it was like craving gone. It's like suddenly I even lost my appetite. It's like the food was just no longer like, you know, like front and center. It was just suddenly like, no, there's something else I need to be dealing with in my life. And it was just such a good feeling. And what I found to be quite amazing was this morning when I got up, I also realized too that you know, when I have my late night cravings, I never wake up the next morning still craving that food. You know, and the next morning I usually wake up feeling really happy and really relieved that I didn't give in to my food cravings. Rather than sometimes I do give in to the tahini and honey at midnight and I wake up the next morning not feeling so good. So that's another thing, is that, you know, we have to remind ourselves in the middle of it that, you know, a few hours from now we might not be needing it. So it's a matter of moving yourself away from it, doing something else. And for me, it was, you know, finally just going to bed. And also, what really helped too was I thanked myself for not giving into the cravings. And you know, that's just like, you know, a little thing you can do, but it feels really good because you're just like, thank you for not giving into this. And it's like, suddenly it's like, it's a good thing that you didn't give into your craving, rather than like going to bed and being like, I wish I had this and that, you know, that it's like, you know, congratulate yourself because you just did something great. And the more that you reinforce that greatness, the more that you feel good about what you did and the less you need that negative thing. So it's always like, what I'm learning more and more, it's having a dialogue and a conversation with yourself. And again, as I mentioned before, it's checking in with yourself. It's when you're feeling the strong need for something that you don't really need, sometimes you have to ask yourself, why do you need this? And sometimes it's not very comfortable to hear the answer, but at least you're asking yourself, because that's what your body's almost like screaming out for, is I need. And somewhere along the line, you translate that as food, but it might be something else. So next time you go through a craving, think about this. And, you know, you don't need to give into that craving. That's the number one thing. And that's one thing I reminded myself last night was, I do not need to give into this. I have the choice. The choice is mine. Okay, so I am wishing you guys a fabulous, fabulous day. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye!